Guitarist Ace Frehley, one of the founding members of the rock group Kiss, has died. He was 74. Ace Frehley's funeral attracted attention from across the music community. But among the large crowd, only one guest appeared, surprising everyone. His presence broke all expectations, creating a tense atmosphere, and reminding everyone of the complicated relationships and events that had lasted throughout Ace's life. From his glorious years with Kiss to his solo career and personal decisions, Ace Frehley always followed his own path. The appearance of this unexpected guest brought a new perspective, revealing secrets and tensions that had been simmering for many years, opening up stories that made the audience follow every development closely. Ace Frehley's funeral in Morristown, New Jersey, immediately became the center of attention for the rock community and the media. The legendary rocker passed away after suffering a serious health incident, ending more than 50 years of a career associated with Kiss and his solo projects. It was a long night of '83. There's a reason I remember it well. The event brought together important figures from his life, from relatives to former bandmates. But the moment that shocked the entire funeral was the sole appearance of Gene Simmons, who was confirmed to be the only surprise guest at the ceremony. Simmons's presence immediately created a climax in the entire funeral. The relationship between Ace and Simmons had been tense for many years, spanning disputes over profits, tours, and contracts. But this event marked an important turning point in that relationship. In a brief speech at the funeral, Simmons emphasized, "Ace was always an unpredictable person, but his talent and honesty overcame everything." He also added, "We argued, we got angry, but Ace always kept the music at the center of everything. I learned a lot from how he stuck to himself." Another quote from Simmons, recorded in a previous interview, read, "Ace never compromised his music or himself, and that's what made him who he is. That's what I've always respected." These words were quickly picked up by reporters as a testament to the complex but deep feelings between the two, and also as a reflection of Ace's defining role in Kiss's career and their personal lives. Peter Criss, former drummer for Kiss and a close ally of Ace, was present at the funeral to speak about their musical journey and their long-standing friendship. Criss said, "Ace always did things his way. He was independent and outspoken. That sometimes caused tension, but it was the most important part of his career." This underscored the unique character that created both success and conflict in Ace's life. Ace's family, including his daughter Monique Frehley, also attended the funeral and gave emotional speeches about her father's musical legacy. "My father lived and worked his own way," Monique said. "Music was his life, and what he left behind for all of us." These words reflected Ace's closeness to his family and underscored the importance of music in his life. The ceremony also saw the presence of longtime manager Larry Libman, who had been in charge of tour planning and contract management for many years. Libman described Ace as a determined artist. "He always wanted things his own way, and I respect that." Today's ceremony is a testament to his career and to who he truly was. These words emphasize that the funeral was not just a memorial event, but also a reflection of his legacy, his relationships, and the conflicts that had lasted for many years. The solemnity and tension at the funeral also mirrored the same conflicts that had followed Ace throughout his career. It was this combination of talent, assertiveness, and outspokenness that created both admiration and lasting controversy, setting the stage for the rest of his musical journey. From his artistic decisions to his public disagreements with bandmates and colleagues, Ace Frehley's story was filled with passion, defiance, and a fair share of feuds. Ace Frehley faced a number of long-standing conflicts throughout his career, beginning in his early years with Kiss. His relationship with Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley was often marked by clashes over touring rights, contracts, and artistic decisions. At times, choices about albums, tour schedules, and image rights created public tensions between the members, but they also highlighted Ace's independent and outspoken nature. Simmons once said, "Ace always did things his own way, and that created both strength and tension in all our projects." Controversy also surrounded his solo albums and his band Frehley's Comet. Ace chose to pursue a solo career alongside Kiss, managing his own albums, tours, and collaborations with other artists. These choices sometimes caused tension with his bandmates, especially when he turned down certain Kiss tours and events to focus on his own projects. Peter Criss once emphasized, Ace had a clear vision for his music. He didn't give in to anyone. That sometimes created conflict, but it was also the reason his music was so special. The conflict between Ace and his bandmates was also evident during the reunion years. When Kiss reunited, Ace's reappearance alongside Criss and Stanley created new tensions over performance roles and financial benefits. Each reunion tour brought difficult decisions about set lists, stage time, and profit distribution. These issues were mentioned in countless interviews and autobiographies, emphasizing just how complex their long-term relationship was. Simmons once admitted, "We had our disagreements, but we always respected Ace's talent." Public controversy didn't stop there. At one point, accusations of racism emerged within the band, with Paul Stanley making comments about Ace and Chris's behavior in certain situations. Ace responded firmly, insisting he had always maintained an honest and independent stance, and that every decision he made was based purely on musical and personal principles. These incidents are well documented and have become part of the larger story of Ace's career and character. Beyond his bandmates, Ace also faced pressure from record companies, managers, and contract disputes. His decision to leave Kiss, as well as rejecting several lucrative tours and offers, proved his determination to protect his creative freedom. Longtime manager Larry Libman put it simply, Ace always wanted to do music his own way. It created a lot of conflict, but it also showed that he was a man who stood by his own style and principles. These choices marked a clear departure from the rest of the band, while also reinforcing his independence throughout his life. The relationship with fans also became a point of tension when Ace decided to shift his performance style, moving from Kiss theatrics to a more personal solo approach. This decision surprised many fans, but it also strengthened his image as an artist devoted to creative freedom. His solo career was built on those very principles, creating both success and controversy in the rock community. Ace's honest and straightforward nature was always a double-edged sword. It sparked conflict, but it also created a powerful connection with fans who admired his authenticity. Maintaining such creative freedom came with a cost. The demands of touring, the weight of fame, and the stress of perfection took a toll on his health, both body and mind. These pressures laid the groundwork for the medical challenges that emerged in his later years, directly impacting his ability to perform and shaping every final decision of his career. Ace Frehley faced serious health issues in his final years, beginning with personal incidents and accidents that directly affected his ability to continue performing. He had struggled with alcohol and drug addiction in the past, but had successfully overcome those battles, maintaining a stable lifestyle for many years. His self-management of health was evident through treatment programs and strong medical support, which laid the foundation for his final musical endeavors. In September 2025, tragedy struck. Ace suffered an accident at the studio, resulting in a brain hemorrhage that required life support. This devastating event forced him to cancel all his fall and winter tours scheduled for that year. Manager Larry Libman confirmed that every tour and performance decision was made based on Ace's medical condition and doctor recommendations. These developments directly affected his work schedule, his album releases, and any final performance plans. During recovery, Ace continued to stay in touch with collaborators and production teams, determined to finish his unfinished music projects. His album, 10,000 Volts, released in 2024, received great attention from fans and critics alike. In interviews with music magazines, Ace emphasized that his solo career and personal music were the most important parts of his life. He expressed his determination to keep creating, even as his health declined. He once said about the project, "Music is what gets me through everything. Each record is the last of me." Ace's family, including his daughter Monique Frehley, closely monitored and supported him throughout the treatment process. Their care and concern helped him maintain his spirit and willpower through one of the most difficult times of his life. Monique described this period as both a personal and artistic journey, emphasizing that her father's health and his music career were deeply connected, each influencing the other. Colleagues in the industry, including Peter Criss and other members of KISS, recognized Ace's relentless effort to stay devoted to music despite his health struggles. Peter Criss said, "Ace never gave up on music. Even when things were difficult, he still found a way to finish projects, to finish records. That proves his will and his passion." This comment reflected Ace's steadfast professional attitude as he faced his declining health head-on. Managers and close associates emphasized that the decision to cancel tours and limit performances was necessary to protect Ace's life and creativity. All activities were carried out under strict medical advice, yet Ace never abandoned his commitment to music. Larry Libman once said, "Ace always put music first." His health directly affected his ability to work, but he never walked away from his artistic responsibilities. On October 16, 2025, in Morristown, New Jersey, Ace Frehley passed away after a period of intensive medical treatment and care. Experts and associates confirmed that the cause of death was a cerebral hemorrhage, which occurred after his studio accident. Every medical decision, every tour change, and every artistic choice in those final months was made in close coordination between Ace, his family, and his management. This moment marked the end of his active career, but it also affirmed the lasting value of the musical legacy he had created. The final stages of his life reflected the powerful connection between health, art, and determination. Even in weakness, Ace chose to remain strong through his music. Every effort to complete albums, to maintain schedules, and to keep his creative fire alive depended on his ability to perform during a time of decline. These final chapters highlighted his personal resilience, his unbreakable loyalty to music, and his uncompromising spirit, the very qualities that defined Ace Frehley's reputation in his last years on Earth. Ace Frehley built his solo career alongside his role as lead guitarist for KISS, creating musical projects that were deeply personal and unmistakably his own. In the mid-1980s, he formed Frehley's Comet, releasing albums with a distinctive hard rock edge that showcased both his songwriting talent and his ability to perform independently. The decision to develop his own project was a bold step in asserting his artistic identity, but it also created new challenges in his relationships with former bandmates. Ace once said about his solo career, "Every album I make is my own. No one else decides for me." Ace's solo albums became major successes. From his hit New York Groove to later projects like Origins Vol. 1, Spaceman, and 10,000 Volts, each record showcased a blend of guitar virtuosity and that unmistakable personal style which kept him in a class of his own within the rock community. That same independence, however, often complicated his relationship with his former bandmates. Ace preferred focusing on his own projects rather than joining KISS tours or collective activities. His solo tours reflected the same independent vision. He chose venues, set lists, and performance formats based entirely on his personal brand, regardless of outside expectations. Every note, every show, was crafted to mirror his own artistic vision. Peter Criss once commented, "Ace always wanted his music and his performance to be his own. That sometimes created conflict, but it also helped him preserve his unique style." Ace's solo years were also marked by collaborations. He worked closely with producers and guest musicians, making key creative decisions, from song selection to mixing to the final mastering of his albums. This hands-on approach demonstrated his deep commitment to quality and his drive to steer his career with complete independence. Manager Larry Libman summed it up best. Ace makes all the decisions in his music. He knows what he wants, and he's willing to take responsibility for every outcome. The artistic choices in his solo career showed not only determination, but also a powerful sense of control over his image and personal brand. The spaceman persona, the iconic image that defined him during his Kiss years, continued to appear in his solo tours and merchandise, but under Ace's own creative direction. He decided when and how to use it, blending it seamlessly with his current sound and identity. It was a masterful balance, maintaining the legacy his fans loved while shaping something entirely his own. Focusing on his solo career also influenced his release schedules, tour plans, and connection with fans. Ace prioritized projects that truly reflected his soul and musical honesty, even if it meant declining Kiss reunions or major events. These choices strengthened his position as an independent artist, affirming his unwavering belief in creative authenticity. Ace once emphasized, "I want everything I do to be true to my music and emotions. People may not agree, but that's how I survive." The album 10,000 Volts and the tours near the end of his life stood as clear evidence of his enduring vision. He maintained full integrity and control over his art, performing only by his own standards, a testament to the independence that defined Ace Frehley's remarkable career. Peter Criss once said that Ace always stood by his principles, never giving in to pressure from anyone. That integrity shaped both his music and his career, especially in his later years. These choices helped Ace maintain his identity, while also creating a foundation for understanding his entire musical journey and his relationships within Kiss. Every project, every album, and every tour was a fusion of technique, emotion, and personal style, each directly influencing his connections with bandmates, managers, and even his family. These artistic and personal decisions set the stage for examining Ace's roots, his origins, his upbringing, and the early influences that shaped the man behind the guitar. Paul Daniel Ace Frehley was born on April 27, 1951, in the Bronx, New York, the youngest of 4 children, to a teacher father and a homemaker mother. His family had German and Norwegian roots, and his early life played a key role in developing his independent, assertive personality. From an early age, Ace showed a strong interest in music, especially the guitar. He nurtured this passion alongside his studies, often practicing for hours, lost in the rhythm that would one day define his career. These early experiences laid the foundation for both his musical style and his personal philosophy, one built on passion, freedom, and persistence. In 1976, Ace married Jeanette Trerotola, and in 1979, they welcomed their daughter, Monique Frehley. The marriage endured for many years, through both the highs and lows that came with his demanding career and personal struggles. Ace's relationship with his family was deeply tied to his touring schedule and solo projects. Despite the constant motion of fame, his family remained a grounding force, a vital part of his emotional and spiritual life. After his divorce in 2001, Ace maintained a close relationship with his daughter Monique and continued to build meaningful relationships, including his engagement to Rachel Gordon in the late 2000s, as well as a few other public romances over the years. Ace's personality and lifestyle always reflected his independence and determination. He openly admitted that music was the center of his life, influencing nearly every personal decision he made. His long career, both with Kiss and as a solo artist, required a delicate balance between family responsibilities and his unshakable devotion to music. Monique once shared that her father's career was both a driving force and a challenge in their family life. She said that his deep love for music sometimes created distance, but it was also what gave him purpose. Throughout his life, Ace faced many personal struggles, including his battles with alcohol and drug addiction. Yet, he overcame them through determination, family support, and rehabilitation programs. Maintaining sobriety brought stability back to his personal life and allowed him to focus on his later musical projects with renewed clarity and discipline. Ace often emphasized that his mental and physical health were inseparable from his ability to create. When he was healthy, his creativity flourished. When he was struggling, so did his art. His relationships with bandmates and managers also affected his personal world. The constant coordination of tours, recording sessions, and contracts sometimes clashed with his need for privacy. But at the same time, it taught him the value of loyalty and long-term partnership. Manager Larry Libman once commented, "Ace knew what he wanted. He always arranged his personal life to fit his work." It wasn't easy, but it was a vital part of how he managed his career. These personal choices also influenced how Ace handled his musical legacy. He insisted on retaining full control over his albums, tours, and artwork, while preserving the spaceman persona as an integral part of his identity. These decisions reflected a blend of youthful independence and lifelong discipline, a balance that defined both his art and his character. Monique described her father best. He was straightforward, opinionated, and always willing to take on any challenge. Those words captured the essence of Ace Frehley, a man who lived by his music, stood by his convictions, and faced every storm with his guitar in hand. Outside of his family, Ace also gave back to the community. He supported music education and health programs, performing at charitable events and fundraisers throughout his career. He played for veterans, spoke at anti-addiction initiatives, and used his platform to raise awareness about recovery and resilience. These actions revealed the compassionate side of the rock legend, showing that behind the guitars, fame, and fire, there was a man who genuinely cared about others. Ace once said, "Music is part of me, but responsibility to the community is also part of me." His journey, from a young boy in the Bronx to a global rock star, was built on a rare combination of talent, character, and choice. Family relationships, an unshakable commitment to music, and decades of creativity and courage shaped the Ace Frehley the world came to know. Through his tours, his solo albums, and a legacy that spanned more than half a century. All these elements come together to form a complete picture of his life, a man driven by sound, passion, and purpose. Thank you for following Ace Frehley's life, career, and musical journey. From the triumphs and controversies to his independent decisions and the timeless legacy he left behind. If you found this story inspiring and meaningful, please like this video to let us know you care. Share it with your friends to keep Ace's story alive, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next unforgettable chapter in rock history. And before you go, tell us in the comments below, which Ace moment or album moved you the most? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's keep the spaceman's memory alive through his music, his legacy, and the real-life stories he created.